With all that being said, the YouTube gets the S tier ranking because this is where I'm doubling down and continuing to pour more and more resources because this is where I'm getting the best returns.
Alex Hormozi has built multiple 8-figure companies, including Gym Launch, which sold for over $46 million. And now he has a portfolio of companies that do over $200 million a year. And after growing a 7.8 million people audience and posting over 35,000 pieces of content, Alex Hormozi just said YouTube is hands down the best platform for businesses to be posting content on. And as someone who runs YouTube channels for 30 plus businesses and has grown several YouTube channels from zero to adding 7 figures in annual revenue to these businesses directly from YouTube, I found some of his points very interesting and uncovered some golden nuggets of information on how he blew up his YouTube channel. So in this video, we're going to see what Alex has to say about growing a YouTube channel and how we can apply it to generate leads and get customers for our business.
So the next platform is the Tubes, which if you're watching this on YouTube, then this is for you. So we're gonna cover the same metrics as before, and we're gonna start with who? What percentage of families over 100K are here? Survey says 89%. So take that in consideration versus TikTok, which was much, much lower than that. People who have money are on YouTube. The next thing is what percentage of the United States is on here? 83%. All right, so you've got a huge percentage of the people who are making the most money on the platform.
Everybody is on YouTube. It's the second biggest search engine in the world. It has over 2 billion monthly active users. Everybody goes there for educational content. So if you're in a business, no matter what sort of industry you are in, chances are your target market is on YouTube.
Let's talk about results, because all of this stuff is conjecture. Here's the crazy thing. 28.6% of our traffic comes from YouTube. So a massive amount. But there's another caveat that I want to put on top of this. Our YouTube traffic converts at 3 to 4 times every other platform. These clicks that go here are worth a ton. And so the actual percentage of the contacts that we create, people who want to become portfolio companies, business owners that want to scale and go to acquisition.com, almost 60% of those contacts actually come from YouTube originally.
Okay, now that's absolutely crazy. Just think about what Alex said there. Over 60% of businesses that want to become a part of acquisition.com and become customers are coming from YouTube. And YouTube is converting at 3 to 4 times better than all of the other platforms that Alex is on.
With all that being said, the YouTube gets the highest praise in the internet ecosystem and gets the S tier ranking because this is where I'm doubling down and continuing to pour more and more resources because this is where I'm getting the best returns.
There you have it. Alex thinks YouTube is the best thing that you could be doing as a business. YouTube videos is the best way to consume education, and it's the easiest way to solve problems because you have not only the audio, but you also have the visual element to it. It's video. Posting YouTube videos can take your business to that next level, and if you don't do it, your competitors will, and they're going to take up all of the market share on YouTube if you don't start now. So now we know why Hormozi thinks YouTube is so important for businesses. Let's actually see what he has to say about growing a YouTube channel and how to get so many customers from YouTube that you don't even know what to do with them all.
So instead of talking about relationships and college and food and lifestyle, I'm going to be narrowing down or doubling down on, if you will, business models, business leverage, and selling in a business.
So Alex just talked about a big shift that he made recently, which is strictly making videos around topics that his target audience is interested in and nothing else. He stopped making videos around fitness, lifestyle, relationships, just to go all in on business content, even if it was more niche. And one of the first things that you should do when starting YouTube is make a list of as many topics your target audience is interested in. This could be pains and problems that your target audience have, as well as desires and dreams that they want to achieve. Spend just 1 hour of focused time making this list, and you can even use AI to help you do it. You can go to a website like ChatGPT, describe to it your audience, and then ask it to give you a list of topics that your audience would be interested in, and it's going to output a long list, and you can continue to chat with it to get the answers that you want. Then you can go to YouTube and search the topics in your list and filter them by most viewed. And now you can see what the most viewed videos are around this topic, which will give you an idea how much interest and demand this topic has, and you can assess whether it would be worth making a video on or not. Okay, let's continue watching.
I'm okay with a video that gets 10,000 views instead of 400,000 views. If 10,000 of those people are $10 million plus business owners, I have a video on my channel that walks through 46 minutes of the decision-making process I use to determine to sell my business. Guess who that applies to? Basically no one, unless you actually have a lot of money and you already have a business asset that has $5 million in profit or more.
Just because videos around a topic aren't getting hundreds of thousands of views doesn't mean that you shouldn't make a video on it. If you sell a high ticket service and you're targeting a very niche audience with your videos, sure, you might only get a few hundred views initially, but each of those viewers are likely to be very interested in what you have to sell. So use a combination of your understanding of what you think a good topic would be for your target audience, but also what the data on YouTube tells you to determine what you should make videos on.
Let's talk about pre-work for a second. So going from post-production to pre-search. So instead of saying, hey, let's just record something and then fix it in post, 4 weeks of editing after almost no prep to get a video out. Well, what if we did 4 weeks of research and then we have almost no editing because we thought of everything ahead of time? Well, guess what? The videos where we spent a quarter of the time that we used to spend on post in pre, we eliminate 90% of our post-edit work and man hours.
It's not the editing that's going to make your videos blow up. It's the pre-search. YouTube's goal is to show their users the best video that's going to keep them on the platform for the longest. And no amount of editing is going to make your video do that. But what will do that is a video that is so good, people can't stop clicking on it, watching until the end, and coming back for more. In most niches, a select few channels that create the best videos take 80% of the total views in the entire niche, while the other channels compete for scraps. And the one thing that all of the top channels have in common is that they spend a huge amount of time doing pre-search. There are 3 parts of pre-search that you need to do. The first part is you need killer video ideas. And don't just take my or Alex's word for it. Look at what Mr. Beast, who is the biggest YouTuber on the entire platform, has to say about the importance of ideas.
The idea is so freaking important. Theoretically, most YouTubers watching this, you could pull triple the views with half the work if you just had better ideas.
But 99% of YouTube channels don't actually know how to come up with good ideas that can go viral in their niche. So let's see what advice Alex has to give on this.
So let's talk about change number 2 that we saw. Going from for us to for you. You're like, well, what does that mean? So recently a mutual friend came to the headquarters and he said, hey, I've been consuming your stuff for years, but recently I just haven't been watching as much. When he said it, I really took it to heart. It felt like a gut punch since he's literally the person I could help most. This is a business owner doing 10 million plus a year. And that's when I realized that reading the comments actually led me a little bit astray. And for you, it might be leading you astray. And so some people loved our different styles, but not the people that I ultimately wanted to help or am best suited to serve. And so we realized that we were serving the wrong who, and that had some very significant downstream impacts on what we made and how we made it.
So the mistake that Alex made here, that also most other YouTube channels make, is that he assumed what his niche wanted just based on what he already knew, instead of figuring out what exactly his target audience wanted on YouTube. And if we look at what most YouTube channels do, they'll randomly have an idea come to them in the shower or on a walk in nature, they'll impulsively record it, and then they'll throw together a title and thumbnail, and then they wonder why their video got 30 views. And while 99% of YouTube channels do that, the top 1% are spending their time researching YouTube and figuring out the best videos to make that thousands of viewers from their niche will watch. Now, Alex Hormozi doesn't share his exact process on coming up with YouTube video ideas, probably because it's so effective and he doesn't want to create more competition for himself on YouTube. But after creating over 1,000 YouTube videos, generating millions of views, and helping multiple business owners add over $1 million in annual recurring revenue directly from YouTube, I've developed a simple process for coming up with killer YouTube video ideas that drive channel growth and business growth. First, write down a list of niches that are similar to yours. For example, if your niche is Facebook ads, then you could explore niches like Google ads, YouTube growth, business, etc. Then you want to go to YouTube and start exploring these niches, and you're going to look for videos where their views are way higher than usual. An easy way to find some of these is by going to the most popular channels in the niche and sorting their videos by most popular. These are called outliers, and you want to study them to find out why they performed well. Sometimes it might be the title and thumbnail that caused the video to succeed, and sometimes it might be the video itself. Even if you just spend 1 hour per week finding outliers and studying why they were successful, you'll build a great awareness and understanding of what works on YouTube and why it works, and killer video ideas will just come to you all of the time because you'll be able to apply all of those learnings to your own niche. For example, through exploring similar niches on YouTube, you might find outliers like these, and by studying why each of these performed well, you'd find that they all follow the same pattern, which is that they all have the same format of title. And if that title format hasn't been used in your niche yet, you could use that and know that the video is likely to blow up and get a ton of views from your target audience if you make a good video. Quick side note, you can get a ton of killer video ideas by clicking the top link in the description and joining my free newsletter. I'm always giving out ideas that have a high probability of success in getting views views and generating sales, as well as a bunch of other super valuable stuff such as script templates, exclusive trainings, and early access to information and insights that put you way ahead of all your competition on YouTube. As I said, if you're interested, you can join that completely for free by clicking the top link in the description. But yeah, that's how you can come up with killer YouTube video ideas that can get you a ton of customers just like Alex. As I mentioned earlier, there are 3 keys to good pre-search. Killer ideas is one of them, so now let's see what the other 2 are.
And if you're gonna obsess about something, these are the 2 things I would obsess on. Number 1 is the thumbnail. One of my last 2 videos was no BS advice on how to get rich in 10 years. And we split test 9 different thumbnails. And so thing 1 is the thumbnail matters a lot. Thing 2 is the first 8 seconds of your video, you wanna be done talking about what the video is gonna be about and start. And this is something that when I see a beginner video, I watch and it's like 2 minutes before they actually start the video. You've already lost everyone. And so you're gonna lose most people in the first 30 seconds. And so you wanna crush the intro so they know it's exactly what you promised in the thumbnail headline, and then you get to the meat as fast as possible.
So as Alex said, if you're going to obsess over 2 things other than the idea itself, it should be the thumbnail and the hook. If people don't click and watch past the first 30 seconds, then they're not going to receive any value from you, so they're not going to become a customer or subscriber, and YouTube's not going to recommend your content because everybody's clicking off. Let's see what Alex has to say about making a thumbnail and hook.
The difference between these 2 thumbnails is going from vague to clear. So if I looked at all the stuff that we did in the past, if I said, what is the video on the left about? You'd probably be like, a rule of some sort that might have to do with money. Not sure. If I said, what's the video on the right? The yellow background video. If I were to describe it, I'd probably say a map or a blueprint or schematics of some sort that go from 0 to 1,000,000. Well, guess what? The one on the right, it's exactly that. The one on the left actually has nothing to do with what that thumbnail looks like. And what do you know? When people click on something that they don't know what it's about, they have a smaller percentage of getting something they actually want than if you say, this is what this is about, and then they get exactly what they think it's about.
As Alex said, going from vague to clear makes a big difference in how effective your thumbnail will be, but it's still not enough. Think about it. When someone goes to YouTube, they see 30 different thumbnails all at once, and the ones that get clicked on are the ones that stand out. So how do you make sure that you stand out from the sea of thumbnails and get your target audience to click every time? There's actually a very easy psychological way to do this, and it's by visually representing the desires of your target audience associated with the video. So for example, if it's to build a successful e-commerce business, show a Shopify dashboard with millions of dollars. If it's getting rich from crypto, have large money amounts on the screen and relate it to crypto. If it's to learn how to write YouTube scripts to blow up your channel, show yourself writing YouTube scripts as well as analytics of a ton of subscribers and views. All of those examples are videos I made, and the thumbnails were a big part of why they blew up. Let's see what Alex has to say about hooks.
And to figure out what made intros for our videos work, I actually rewatched my top 35 educational videos. And so I actually developed a new moniker around how to think about introductions for ourselves that I'm spreading throughout my whole team, and you can just steal it. Proof, promise, plan. All of the introductions of the best education videos that we had these 3 characteristics. And I want to make one point about the order of these. You can have these 3 mixed in any order you want. I would emphasize the one that is the most important for that particular piece of content. So if you have something that you're making that you think the proof is going to be really important, then lead with that. If you have a promise that's incredibly important for the audience, then lead with that. If you have a plan that for some reason is going to be more emphasized, then lead with that. But I would say that for our content, for the most, because I'm a business educator about making money in general, most people have this big glaring sign above their head before they can even turn on the volume of their brain, which is, why should I listen to you? And so I tend to lead with proof. And so proof is that you prove that you know what you're talking about. You give people a reason to believe you. The promise is to tell them what they're going to get or learn from the video. And the plan sets the expectations of what will happen next.
I've used this exact same hook structure in over 1,000 educational videos that I've made in the past year and generated millions of views and millions of dollars using it, so I know that this works well. For proof, you want to convince the viewer that you can deliver on the promise you gave and that they should listen to you. So for example, in the hook of this video, I used the proof of Alex Hormozi saying he has built multiple 8-figure companies, including Gym Launch, which he sold for over $46 million, now has a portfolio of companies that do over $200 million a year, and has grown an audience of 7.8 million people and posted over 35,000 pieces of content. That's really strong social proof, and I used the social proof of myself to give additional strength to the hook. For promise, you want to sell the viewer on why they should watch the video until the end and set a strong expectation of what they'll get out of the video. Part of the promise that I gave in this video was that I uncovered some golden nuggets of information about how he blew up his YouTube channel. And for plan, you want to give clarity on how you're going to meet that expectation you set and how the viewer will reach their desired outcome them by watching this video. An important note here, don't give too much away because we want to maintain curiosity so they watch the entire video. The plan that I used in the hook of this video was, so in this video we're going to see what he has to say about growing a YouTube channel and how we can apply it to generate leads and get customers for our business. So that is how you can use the proof, promise, and plan structure for your own hooks, but there is actually one extra point that you might want to include in your hook because it makes your target audience more likely to continue watching the video, and that is persona. For persona, you should call out who the video is for so that your target audience knows that the video is relevant and personalized to them, which will reduce the chance of them clicking off. Now, sometimes this isn't necessary to directly use in the hook because sometimes it's clear enough indirectly who exactly the video is for. For example, in this video where I use Alex Hormozi, it's very clear who the video is for because Alex Hormozi's audience is business owners. I also mentioned businesses and adding revenue and getting customers throughout the entire hook, so it's very clear that it's for them.
Get to the meat as fast as possible. In this video, we did 8 different takes of the intro where I slowly worked from 30 seconds down to 8, and then that's what became the intro that you saw before seeing this moment right now.
Just like Alex said, your hooks need to be short and sharp. Every second wasted in the hook will lead to more people clicking off your video, and if lots of viewers are dropping off near the start, YouTube will also push your video to less people. Make sure each word increases the probability of them watching your video, and then move on to the main part of the video as soon as possible. So with that being said, let's move on to how Alex thinks about creating the main part of the video.
Now let's talk about how this strategy changes the meat of the content. Is that going from B-reel / vlog stuff, because we have made that, to lists, steps, and stories. When we looked at the educational content that did the best, they had more of the right and less of the left. If you look at the squares here, I just pulled the last 30 days of content that we made, and I looked at our bottom performing over the last 30 days that we posted that were reels, and then I looked at the top. Now, interestingly, the bottom 12 videos that we made, 8 out of 12, I would say had more razzle emphasized. And on the flip side, 9 out of 12, 75% of the best videos we had emphasized language. This also was true with longs as well. So if I go and show you this real quick, language, that's on the screen, and that's one of our best videos ever. And that takes up 70, 80% of the video is actually just words.
So your video should follow a lists, steps, or stories type of structure, and emphasizing language should be the focus for the main part of the video. But to do this well, you can't just wing it and record your video without any sort of script. Unfortunately, the reality is nobody wants to spend hours scripting every video, so here's how to write a killer YouTube script that can blow up your channel in just 10 minutes. First, let's imagine your video broken up into parts. For example, if I make a video on 5 common mistakes YouTube channels make, each mistake would be a segment. Every segment should end with a payoff, where the audience learns something or feels something. And it's much easier to think of all your payoffs before the rest of the script, because if you're making educational content, this is the stuff that you're an expert in. So for example, some of the payoffs for this video is YouTube ideas, thumbnails, and scripting. And now that we have all the payoffs, we're going to write the setups for each payoff. The number one place where I see retention drop off, other than the hook, is between segments. And this is because after you deliver a payoff, if the viewer doesn't know where the video is going next, they could click off. So to stop this drop off from happening, you write a mini hook to make it clear what each segment is building up towards and why your audience should care. The goal is to open curiosity with your setup to keep viewers hooked and wanting to resolve that curiosity. And then that curiosity is resolved through the payoff. Then that cycle repeats throughout the video. So for example, in this video, I always lead into a segment with something like, now let's see what Alex thinks about this. And then that sparks the curiosity for the viewer to continue watching and watch the clip from Alex, which I then go into detail and expand on and give my own valuable insights on. I am basically creating a curiosity gap at every point in the video, which the viewer can only cross and resolve that curiosity if they continue watching. And then when they finish that segment, they're yet again hit with another curiosity gap to keep them watching the next segment, and that repeats throughout the entire video. So now we have the payoffs and we have the setups, and lastly, all we need to do is connect the dots. The setups and payoffs act as structural guardrails that allow us to riff the rest of the script if we want to. But spending extra time plotting more bullet points between setup and payoff is very beneficial, as it saves a lot of time in the recording process and it actually makes the video better. So far, Alex has gave us advice on coming up with topics and ideas, thumbnails, and scripting, but let's hear what he has to say about editing.
So let's talk about visuals. This one's a big one. Going from overproduction, and I want to be clear, overproduction for the objective. So it's not like my team did anything wrong or anything like that. It's just that if we want to educate, sometimes production distracts from the objective of education. The difference that I put in this example here is we have a background that changes colors while I'm teaching something. It does not help someone understand the subject matter better. On the flip side, clarifying what words on a screen are, because maybe my handwriting's not that good, would help people understand. So overproduction to effective production, from distracting to enhancing, from visual effects to visualizing data. So instead of having flames behind me, it's what does this look like on a chart? So we can give relative scale, so we can have scope, so we can show changes over time.
On YouTube, you'll often see videos with this super fast-paced editing style, and its only goal is to keep the viewer engaged. The problem is, if you're targeting a high-quality audience, this type of editing can attract the wrong type of viewers and can actually push away the viewers who you want to attract. Instead, you should focus on providing the best viewing experience to your actual target audience that will help them get the most value out of the video and leave them satisfied and wanting more. At this point, Alex has gave advice on everything you need to know to create great YouTube videos that can go viral in your niche and attract a ton of customers and blow up your channel. And after you post these videos, you need to know how to study the analytics so you know how to improve and get even better results. Alex is about to talk about this, so let's find out what he has to say.
So before this, we used to track views. This is another big one. Who makes views the most important metric you track? A lot of you. That's okay. Me too. But I'm going to give you a good metric that you can track, a metric that you might not expect. The main reason is that I had a 6 to 12 month deal cycle. So I started by using views because I really had no other metric, because we had no idea what it would do besides driving awareness, and I didn't really have any other objective. But in that time period of doing a deal in every 6 to 12 months, because we buy companies, that's more or less what we do, we began seeing a much closer correlation with faster feedback metrics. And ideally, in any business, you want as little latency between the metrics you track and the behavior you want to change. And so if you want to get people to change something and you want to look at something that takes a year to get feedback, really tough to change behavior. But if you can have a metric that you can see daily changes or hourly changes, then those are things that are going to much more quickly change behavior, so that you can have 100 feedback loops in terms of changing and getting better than one every year. And so besides book sales, opt-ins, and applications, there was a metric that stood out as fastest and most measurable. It was ad revenue. And this is really surprising to me. So for me, I pretty much always ignored ad revenue and just saw it as something that could offset some of the cost of my media team. There was really nothing else. But I was wrong. It's actually so much more. Let's dive into a little bit for a second of like, how does ad revenue come to be? So it comes from two things: this number of views times revenue per views. Now the actual term is RPMs, which is revenue per mille, which is French for 1,000. So it takes into account the quality of the audience, which for me was business owners who have amongst the highest spending power. And so RPMs are the highest. So for me, the RPMs go up. It means I'm getting more of the quality people that I want. And so this gave me and my team something that we could shoot for that balanced making videos for the right people who wanted to watch. So I mean, ideally, we absolutely want to crank views with the right people. And that's what that was able to track for us.
This seems obvious because ultimately the number one thing that we want is more revenue in sales, but more views does not equal more revenue. I can tell you one thing for certain: focusing on views is a big mistake. This is why you don't want to fall into the trap of trying to make your videos too broad just to go viral and get more views, because you'll end up actually attracting less customers in the process of doing that. Now, I know Alex mentioned a bunch of positives about using ad revenue as a leading indicator, such as the feedback loop is much faster, but there also are some downsides too. One, you can't turn ad revenue on until you're part of the YouTube Partner Program, which requires over 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, and even when you cross that threshold, the data will be so small that you won't be able to make anything from it. Two, there are factors outside of your control that can massively impact ad revenue, which Alex may not have considered. One of these being that on YouTube, ad revenue is typically significantly lower at certain times of the year, such as December, so looking at this too closely might give false positives and negatives. Having said that, I still think this is a great metric to track, but this is also why with the channels that we're running for businesses, we track the revenue directly via tracking links, as well as other things such as link clicks, booked sales calls, and opt-ins. We are able to track and attribute these things back to YouTube accurately, and even down to the specific video that drove the sales, so we can judge which videos are driving the most revenue and optimize our content strategy even further. The best revenue tracking softwares specifically for YouTube are always changing, so I'll keep an up-to-date list of options in the description below, and you can go and check that out. That's covered off pretty much everything Alex Hormozi has to say about YouTube, but he does mention something about YouTube Shorts, which might be interesting. He's going to give his opinion on whether he thinks YouTube Shorts are worth doing or whether he thinks they're a waste of time. So let's see what he has to say.
So for a long time, the prevailing idea in content marketing was, again, a funnel. And it was believed that Shorts viewers got more people to then watch longs, and then those long viewers would then translate translate into becoming customers. That was kind of the prevailing thought. But again, when we looked at the data, it looked more like this. Shorts viewers watch more shorts, and long viewers watch more longs. And so the point is that these are different audiences. And I will make a note here that this can change by platform. So I might be a long viewer on one platform and a shorts viewer on another. And where I do think the magic happens is where you can have shorts in one thing. And so someone finds you on TikTok, but then they are a longs viewer on YouTube, and then they watch your longs there. Longs viewer on YouTube, and then they watch your longs there. So I do think there's an element there, but not the way the narrative goes. And so for us, longs drive a lot more conversions than shorts. Conversions being book sales, opt-ins, applications. And business-related content, unsurprisingly, brings more business owners than not business-related content. And so we are going to double down on more longs about that stuff and change our short strategy to keep the volume the same, but focus more on business overall.
Yeah, I don't really need to expand much on what Alex said here. If you care about revenue and business growth, longs are better than shorts. Shorts are great for awareness, but they're not long enough to be able to provide enough value and show off your expertise and build that deep layer of trust that's required for somebody to buy from you. Google stated that on average, if a potential customer consumes 7 hours of content from you, that's when they'll be ready to buy. And for a potential customer to watch 7 hours of short content from you, where each video is at max 60 seconds, not gonna happen. But for somebody to watch 7 hours of long form content, that can happen surprisingly quick. They could watch a few 20 to 30 minute videos where you help solve their problems, then they could watch a 2-hour free course from you, and then maybe a podcast or two, and then before you know it, they're ready to become a customer.
With all that being said, the YouTube gets the highest praise and gets the S tier ranking because this is where I'm doubling down and continuing to pour more and more resources because this is where I'm getting the best returns.
As you can see, the impact that Alex's YouTube channel is having on business is mind-blowing. And it's not just Alex, many others are starting to realize the power of YouTube and the impact it can have on their business. Just like the 30+ companies that I'm running YouTube channels for currently right now, some of which have added millions of dollars in annual revenue, thousands of customers, and 8 figures in company value. And if you want to see exactly how I grow YouTube channels for businesses from zero to millions of dollars and build huge brands in the process, just like Alex has done with his, click on this video here, which is a full masterclass where I show my exact process from coming up with ideas, creating the title and thumbnail, scripting the video and recording it, as well as other steps such as video editing and even SEO. So go ahead and click on that video on your screen right now if you want to watch that. It's super valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.